September 26th. The optimist fell 10 stories. At each window bar, he shouted to his friends, "All right so far." Anonymous. Easy to laugh at the plummeting optimist. But how many times have we ourselves been blindly hopeful about obviously hopeless situations? Have we not refused to look ahead simply because we didn't want to see what was coming? Manufactured reasons by the dozens for a totally unreasonable course of action? Most of us have had times in our lives when we let ourselves float along without thinking about where we were going. Perhaps we knew where we were headed for a fall, or we were heading for a fall, but somehow we couldn't or wouldn't read the writing on the wall. Maybe we even congratulated ourselves as the optimist did for surviving second by second. Then came the inevitable crash, the devastation, the brokenness. Only then did we realize we aren't surviving when we're hurtling downward. Instead, survival was a painful process of cleaning up the mess and mending our wounds. We learned the hard way that flying is a fantasy, floating is far from a free ride, and false optimism makes a poor parachute. A positive attitude about a negative behavior makes a negative result. A positive attitude about a negative behavior still makes for a negative result. Well, ow. That's personal. I knew my relationship with my ex was over the first time he took a shoe, one of his shoes, size 13, and whacked me across the face with it. Right across the face, as hard as he could. And it broke blood vessels here, and the blood drained into both my eye sockets, and I had to go to work the next day and lie to people about what had happened. And that was 2 years into our relationship. And then I kept going for another 8. Because I believed that if I loved him enough, if I just loved him enough, he could learn how to love himself, and then he could love me right, the way that I wanted to be loved. And that moment happened a countless amount of times over the course of our relationship. And then there were other times that had nothing to do with being abused, where I kind of just looked over and was disgusted with who he was as a person, and thought to myself, well, I feel embarrassed about being attached to or tied to this human being, but maybe if I love him enough, he'll get better. If I get better, maybe he'll get better. There is nothing that anybody can ever say or do to change that cycle within other human beings. A positive attitude about a negative behavior makes for a negative result. Changing negative behaviors to positive behavior requires either hitting rock bottom and having nowhere else to go, or finding a source of love and self-love so strong that it overcomes an entire lifetime of programming that allowed you to make the negative choices and the negative behaviors in the first place. In my case, it was knowing flat out that my son was never going to be raised around that behavior, and having my ex almost hit me in the head with a cast iron pan while my son was sleeping 4 feet away from me as an infant. But up until the very end, I had a positive attitude about the negative behavior of continuing to choose a relationship that I knew was going nowhere, that I knew flat out was not going where I wanted it to go, that I had a hard time admitting to myself, because I just wanted a family, and I wanted a healthy, happy life, and I was working really hard to be healthy and happy, and educated, and hardworking, and financially secure. I was working so hard, and if I just loved him enough, he would do it too. He would just do it too. He would do it too eventually, right? I had the most positive attitude in the world about the worst situation on the planet for me personally. And it didn't matter how long I stayed positive. I never got positive results until I changed the negative, let go of the negative situations and the negative behaviors. A positive attitude about a negative behavior makes for a negative result. It is what it is, whether we like it or not. I have no regrets now, but this one was hard. And I want to stop reading, but I've got a few more before I catch up with where we're at today, today's date. Oh, it's funny. For some reason, tomorrow is dog-eared, so I'm going to keep going because maybe I could... Yeah, okay, cool, whatever. Have a good day. Hi. It is my genuine hope that you got something positive out of this video, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you liked the video, maybe shared it with somebody you know, and then subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a good day.